Hello everybody and welcome back to the Tutorial Survival Series episode 3. So last time we converted the pod into a mining ship. We've started to refine our own ores to make components a bit more effectively. We added a battery to the base and another wind turbine. So this episode we're going to focus on upgrading the base, the mining ship and our production capabilities, which is going to consist of a large refinery and a large assembler. So this will allow us to process ores faster and also process all of the rare ores as well, like gold and silver. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually produce some new tools. So if we go to the assembler in the production section, click on tools, you can see that we actually have everything we need to make the enhanced tools. So I'm going to queue up one of each of these, and these are just going to make us a bit more efficient. We're going to weld a bit faster, grind a bit faster and drill a bit faster. It's well worth doing, it will save you some time. And I'm going to swap out our old tools. We do that by right clicking these ones off the hotbar. We go to character tools and then we add the new ones in once we've got them in our inventory. So I'm going to deposit the old and then in with the new. And because I've got issues, I'm going to put them at the front. Doesn't matter where you put them as long as you've got them on your character. And add them to the toolbar, and you can see we've got shiny new colours, so I guess it's something for your eyes to look at. I also found an ice lake, which is nearly 7 kilometers away, so we're probably going to have to do something like a mobile ice mining platform, which I'll show you how to do later on in the series. Hopefully your ice location isn't as far away as mine. There might be some in the ore deposits around there, but I just sort of flew straight up, saw that ice lake over there and thought that's probably the best bet, because very rarely are you going to empty a lake of all the ice in a survival run. So that'll pretty much last you as long as you're going to need it for. Right, so let's have a look at our good old mining ship. So there are a few things that we've probably noticed last time. Number one, we do not have enough thrust. And number two, we're a bit exposed. And number three, we can't see all too well when we're in the tunnels. So we're going to accommodate those needs with a few upgrades to the mining ship. It's currently just charging up. We're going to make a few structural changes, add some thrusters and some other bits as well. If you play multiplayer or co-op, you could just stick another seat right here. If you play in solo like me, you could actually put another medium cargo container. Make sure you connect it up via this small conveyor port. So if I just grab one here just to show you, if you connect them up like this, components will flow through and down through the connector, so that'll be just fine. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here, but this is entirely up to you now. This is very much personal preference on how you want to upgrade the mining ship. So I'll just give you a quick overview of what I've done here. So I've added an extra downwards facing thruster on either side, so we've got a total of 6, which should be plenty for what we need. I've also added a couple of upwards thrusters just to help us in case we get flipped over. I've added some reversing thrusters so that we can move down more efficiently and get back up. And then I'm going to double up on the rear thrusters so that we can get around a bit quicker. For now, I'm going to leave the side thrusters as they are, but you probably want to double them up at some point. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I've also changed the bodywork a little bit at the rear, so I'll probably just put a little bit of effort into making this look a little bit nicer as well. In terms of this space, I've not quite decided what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm probably just going to throw another medium cargo container there, but we'll see. Alright, so here is my upgraded mining ship. As you can see, I've added a few different things, so I'll just talk you through them. Obviously the thrusters, I've decided to go with a medium cargo container on the back. I've covered that up just with a little bumper for now. And then I've added some side skirts over the thrusters, so that when we're mining, if we bash into a wall, they'll protect the thrusters a little bit. Just to give us that extra bit of protection, because as I've said previously, this is currently our only ship. I'm just going to show you how to paint as well. If you press P, it will open up the paint menu, so you've got your skins and your paint colours, and you can obviously customise them. If you select a colour, click OK, and then hold a block up to another block like this, so you can see the outlines of both, and then press middle mouse button. I'm going to do a little accent here, and that's how you paint. It's pretty simple. It's a bit difficult sometimes to get behind other blocks, so if I wanted to paint the battery that's behind these thrusters, it'd be quite difficult for me to do so without removing blocks, or trying to go underneath, and it gets a bit messy, so that's why I recommend the paint gun mod. But for now, it'll do. the mining ship looks pretty cool, so that's number one taken care of. Number two is we're just going to add some lights to help us see during the dark. So there's a block called the spotlight block. You've also got the offset spotlight block. I'm just going to go with the regular vanilla ones, and then I'm going to put them on either side of the cockpit. I'm going to build them into the frame a little bit though, like this. I want them to be grey. Make sure they line up. And then I'm going to get those built. Great, and now we've got spotlights at the front. You can turn these on and off with the same button as your suit headlamp. So if I hop in the cockpit here, I can toggle them like so. And then you can go into the control panel and you can actually customize the colour. So if you want them to be a different colour, customize the range and all the other things as well. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up top and I'm just going to add a blinking light somewhere in the centre. So probably just here. So I've built an interior light. Then if we go into the control panel, we find that light. I'm just going to call it blinker. And I'm going to make it slightly orange. And then if we go down to blink interval, if I set this to 3 seconds, you can set an exact amount by holding control, clicking on the bar. 3, and that'll be 3 seconds. Then every 3 seconds this will blink. You can also adjust things like the blink length. You can offset it as well if you want alternating blinkers. You can offset them by different times, or blink length, interval, etc. So there's a lot you can do with this. You can increase the intensity, the brightness. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is, like that. So that we're flying through a storm or something, you can see the ship. But also, mainly, it just looks cool. And that's the main reason I'm doing it. So, next, let's increase our production. We're going to build out the base, but that'll be a lot easier if we've got quicker production capabilities. So, if we come back here, I'm going to set up our production over here. So it's outside of the base. This will all turn into interior space. So I'm just going to lay out a bit of a foundation for us to work off here. And then we're going to set up how our production works. So, first things first, we're going to want a refinery. I'm going to place it there like that. And this is going to obviously refine the ores. Next, we're going to use a sorter on this side. And this is going to pull components out of there, and you can actually whitelist or blacklist different ores and ingots. Then we're going to move into an assembler. So if you look at the assembler, making sure these are all connected, we've got a conveyor port on either side. So I'm going to lie it down this way for now. Then we're going to place another sorter. And then we're going to move into a large cargo container. I'm going to bury this in the ground a little bit here. So now we can import ores here, which will turn into ingots, pull through the sorter. Ingots will be in the assembler, and then it will produce components which will be pulled through into the large cargo container. Another thing we're going to do is quickly add some small cargo containers just to the back of the assembler here, in case we have too many ingots flowing through and we're not using all of them. Then finally, over here, we're going to need an area to dock to and unload all of our ores. So I'm going to run a quick conveyor system through the floor. It doesn't really matter how you do this. I'm just going to run it like this. So I'm going to have the curved conveyor tube, pipe out. Let's go get some interior plates quickly. I'm going to pipe it out, and then I'm going to put a connector here. And what I'm actually going to do quickly is remove this and put a sorter here. So this is pretty simple of a setup, but it's going to serve you very, very well. Basically, you dock the ship here. This will be set to pull all the ores out of the ship, put them into the refinery. The refinery is going to refine those ores, create ingots, which will be pulled into the assembler. If we've got too many, they'll go into the storage container. And then components will be pulled out of the assembler into the large cargo container, ready for us to use. this will be a different conveyor network to the rest of the base. You can just connect all of these up. You don't have to use sorters. The reason I'm doing this is because later on in the game, as you progress, things will get very messy if you're using the same system of pipes, and you'll have ore all over the place, components all over the place, and it gets a bit tricky to manage. There are actually scripts dedicated to this as well, but for now, this is a pretty simple setup. It's what I use in my survival series, and it served me very well. I've been using it ever since I've been playing the game, so this is what I'm going to teach, and it's very robust and it's scalable as well. So the next part will be getting all of this welded up. So take your ship out, grab some ores, and let's get this all constructed. So just a quick note, I took out the mining ship and noticed a couple of things that I'm just going to point out to you guys quickly and show you how to fix. So number one is the antenna is called antenna. If we go into the control panel, find the antenna attached to the mining ship, and then you can change the HUD text, or you can actually show the ship name. So these are two different things. So changing the HUD text to mining ship will display mining ship on the antenna, whereas if you go to info, you can actually rename the grid itself. So at the moment it's called respawn planet pod. So if we go back to the antenna, click show ship name, you'll see it actually come up as respawn planet pod. So I don't usually turn that on, I usually just leave it as the HUD text, mining ship. Now the second thing I noticed is we are having power issues. So if I thrust backwards at full thrust and upwards at the same time, you can see we actually overload. So that means we're using more power than we can actually produce from the ship. So to fix this, it's a pretty easy solution. We just need to add more power to the ship. The best way to do that for a ship of this size is via small batteries. So you've got the large batteries and then you've got the small 1x1 batteries as well. I'm probably just going to stick a couple of them on the rear here, so probably two on either side, here and here. And then if we get these welded up, that should solve your power issues. And other than that, I'm literally just mining a little bit of iron and getting things sorted. So yeah, I'll continue doing that. To just demonstrate a couple more things as well. If we go into the mine, turn on our spotlights, as you can see it's pretty dark. Boom! We can see pretty much everything we need to now. And before we were carrying roughly 27-28 tons, and now the miner can quite happily tuck away 35 tons or more, so we can gather more, or substantially more, iron with each run. Just a bit fat so I can't turn around. There you go, we've tucked away 38. As you can see, I'm still overloading on power. You're probably going to find this as you're building ships throughout survival. You're going to get this every now and then. Like I said, the best way to overcome it is to just add a few more small batteries to small grid ships. If you've got it on a large grid ship, you might need to add more power generation, but generally just adding batteries will help, because they can distribute the power and they can give you a higher power output, but you will need to obviously recharge them via either a power source on the ship itself, so you could use like an engine on the ship or a reactor on the ship, or just have it fully battery powered and you dock up to a base which can recharge the craft for you. A couple more things while the components are producing. A few people pointed it out on episode 2, but I just want to put it in the video so that people can see it. By default, the pod's ore detector isn't set to max range, so if we find the ore detector in the control panel, you can drag this little slider here and set it up to the top range. Make sure you've got broadcast using antennas on, and then if you go into your antenna, enable broadcasting as well, and that will show the ores when you exit the cockpit. So if you land somewhere and you just want to scan the ground, park the ship, make sure you've got broadcasting on, and you can still see the ores when you're not in the cockpit of the ship. I'm still building this. This is taking a hot minute, but it will do. And once all this is done, you can pretty much do whatever you like. And I've got a few ideas planned for us. Just so you guys know, I am consistently setting it back to daytime, just so that you guys don't have to strain your eyes watching this at night, which is why it's always bright. But yeah, I'm gonna change the sun up a little bit in just a second. But in the meantime, I'm gonna continue welding. Another thing to note is that once you've got the assembler built, when you're trying to create components, if you go into the production section, you've got to drop down here to choose which production block you're going to use. So for now we still need to stick with the basic assembler, so make sure you've got that selected, just as a little note. I've also added these batteries to the back of the mining ship, so I've just basically selected all of them, put them in the group called miner batteries, and then I'm going to remove the block from the hotbar, go to groups, and then add this as recharge on off, and that will toggle all of the batteries on the ship. For now I'm just going to toggle this on auto so that they're all set to the same mode. As you can see, I can swap between them quite easily. Show you where I'm at. I'm currently using this system to produce the components because this assembler is a lot quicker. So I basically just loaded all of my ores into the connector into the refinery, and then the assembler is just processing them into components for us now. And here we have a finished production assembly line. So we're going to now configure the conveyor sorters so that they pull the ore, ingots and components into the right place. So I'll show you how to do that. If we go up to the control panel on the sorter leading off the connector first, we're going to go on to drain all. So this basically will pull all the components available through the system, and then we're going to click on whitelist, so we'll only let through, and we're going to want ore, and then we also want scrap. Should be in here somewhere. Scrap metal. There we go. So the ore tag automatically adds all of the different ores that you'll be able to find down here. Then past the refinery, we're going to add drain all, whitelist, and then we're going to get ingots. And then this one, we're going to whitelist, components, hand tools, and ammo. And if we click drain all, and then if we, I don't know, produce a few components, put some steel plates, you'll see them appearing in the large cargo container here. So ore in, components out, and that's the flow that we're going to be using. You need to keep this in mind that components can't go back through these sorters. You can also just do this with regular pipes. You don't need to put the sorters in. I'm just going to emphasize that. You can literally just put conveyor pipes between all of these blocks and this will all work. I'm just doing it because I want all my components to be pushed through here, and I don't want to be going through the inventory managing things. And then any ores that can't fit, any ingots, sorry, that can't fit in the assembler will go into this cargo container here. You can also just dump ingots that you find from pods, or, you know, I guess your own mooching around, straight into here. So next, let's get the base looking a little bit more like a base, and we're going to add a little landing area for the pod as well. So I'm going to grab some steel plates, which we've usefully just produced, and then we come over here and we're going to build a little landing area for the craft. Let me just think about how I want to do this. Doesn't really matter how you do it. I just want it to look decent, so we're going to put these blocks on it like that, and then we're going to do something like this. I might bring the pod over here actually, just so I can size it up. Turn the batteries off recharge. Make sure you do that before you disconnect, otherwise the ship will just drop. And if you've attached it on top of somewhere, you will not have a fun time. Okay, so it looks like this might be wide enough. I want to make sure that we can walk around the ship. Yeah. So that'll do. Put the corners on. And no, I'm not a monster. I'm going to add some structural beams to it as well. We'll do... And I want a curve though, I don't want it to all look the same. Hello. Oh. What is happening here? Placed an invisible block. What? Oh, okay. That's a bit weird. And then at the front here, I'm going to have an extra section like that. Go grab some more steel plates real quick. And queue them up now, and they'll be made pretty quickly. Actually, we better queue up a couple hundred of them, because I'm going to need to weld all this up. Or we could do it here, to be fair. I'm thinking of a staircase, basically. So for stairs, you're going to need construction components, or you're going to need interior plates to place them, depending on whether you're using the window block, which is like the quote-unquote vanilla version, or if you're using the DLC ones, which I'm going to use. Doesn't really matter. The window blocks, looks like you don't get them unlocked for a bit. I think you've probably got to build an interior block. There you go, yeah, and then you unlock all of this. So you've got these are the DLC stairs, but then you can also use these diagonal windows as stairs. You get these 2x1s by default as well, but I don't find them to be very easy to work with typically. So I go with the DLC ones. But yeah, we're gonna need to build an interior block, which is fine, an interior wall. So we'll just queue that up, drag that to the back, put it on a hotbar. Get this built. People have been telling, well, I saw a few comments saying turn off progression, but I'm going to leave it on because I guess it's the way the game's intended to be played. Something like that. I don't know. But I'm going to leave it on anyway in case people play with it, because otherwise it's not really that much of a hindrance, to be honest. So I'm going to put one stair block there, and then I'm going to put a catwalk block. Like so, and then we're going to put another stair here. If you can't place it like this, sometimes you just need to put a catwalk underneath so the blocks can attach together. So I'm just going to rotate, and then we should be able to place the stairs here. And then we have a nice little staircase up to the mining ship. We can walk around it, do any sort of repairs that we need to do, and we've got a nice platform to store it on as well. So I'm just going to go get this all welded up, and then finally we're just going to make the base look a little bit better. So what am I going to do to the base? Well, number one, I'm going to get rid of these, because you don't actually need them anymore. You can keep them for extra production if you want. You can hook them up to the other refinery and assembler and just use them as like a backup. But for my purposes, I'm not going to worry too much about it, and we're just going to get rid of them. They've served their purpose, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to leave this intact for now because this is obviously our life support system. So we've got energy here, and then if we put ice into this, we've got oxygen and hydrogen flowing through it as well. I'm going to grab some steel plates, some interior plates, and some construction components, and we're going to build a little base here actually. So I'm going to get a bed. Keep in mind that you don't really need to do all this. I'm just doing it because, I don't know, I want it to feel homely. Plus, I do need the toilet every now and then, so we're going to put a toilet down. And then I'm going to bring this out. Going to replace these with the interior floors. Well, interior walls, but I'm going to use them as floors. And then going to have a door here. This doesn't really matter. I'm just sort of, I want to build a decent looking base. So I'm just going to add a few little touches here and there just to make it look nice. Along the walls, I'm just going to use the half slabs because I don't want it to look too chunky. So feel free to copy what I'm doing or not. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. And then at the top, let's have a little think here. We're going to go with these blocks here and at the front as well. Oh, get rid of that. And we will, I'm not going to do it in the middle actually. what I'll do instead is I'll do these blocks across the middle. In the centre here we'll have a regular steel block, and then we'll hook these up with, just do interior walls like that. Actually, I've got a much nicer idea. We'll do armour panels across the top, so these are these little light panels that you can use if I can connect them up. And then we'll do window blocks. I've got the curved windows. Curved windows are a separate unlock apparently. No, they're not. Have they they must have changed the name. Round window. And then we need girders for them, and I'm going to put windows here. Let some fresh sunlight come into the base. Put some steel blocks here just so we can walk around the back here. Let's see what else we want to do here. Get rid of that now. Put the foundation block in there. And then, why don't we have some windows? So I'm going to use the viewports, but you can just use the default window blocks. Put another one on this side. Give us a little bit of visibility. Yeah, this should look pretty nice once it's done. And then at the front here, we'll have these window blocks, because I think they look nice. These are the default ones. They're not really windows, they're not airtight. They're called window blocks, but they're not airtight. And I'm going to have them like that. Pop a little sliding door there as well. Put a staircase either side. And a railing. I'm going absolutely overboard here. You don't have to do this. Like I said, just want to make a nice little hut. And then we will add half steel blocks along here as well. This is a fully functional base, this, so feel free to experiment and do what you like. It doesn't really matter as long as you've got life support systems in place, and they're all hooked up. So this is a separate system now. So if we put ice into this cargo container, we'll get oxygen and hydrogen out of the survival kit and bottles in the O2 generator. And then if we come round back, we've got our component production where we can put ore from the mining ship, convert them into ingots and then to components. So I'm going to go get this all welded up and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so here is the base. I've added a few things, so I'll just talk you through them. I put a text panel on the front here, just I like the picture. There's some neon tubes on the side just to look like a bit of cabling. I added an interior turret to the top. Doesn't really matter too much unless you're playing with other people, or you've got meteorites on, or you've got some form of encounters mod which is spawning drones, just as a basic line of defense. I actually just have it on here in case I want to use it as a bit of a camera, so you can have a little look into the distance. I don't know, I'll wait to put something up here. I also just put a rotor pot upside down, so that's literally just one of these placed upside down, just to look like an antenna or something to cover up the conveyor port at the back. What else did I add? Let me have a little mooch. Got the viewports, we've got the front porch. Not much else, but you can see that with the windows we've got some nice lighting in here now. So I'm just going to quickly colour the base. I'll show you how I colour the base, but you can sort of do... Oh! Oops. But you can sort of do your own thing. We're going to be going with blue for this series, so I'm going to get a nice blue colour. And then middle mouse button, as you can see, you're going to run into a few problems. Sometimes you can get through that if you get within the block, like this interior turret here. You get within that grid and crouch down, but it is a bit of a pain, I can't lie. And I'm just going to paint all these. I want all these to be blue. I want a couple of white stripes. So I actually tend to follow the... There's actually, Marek Rosa wrote a blog about the colours of space engineers, I'm not even joking. If you have a look for it online, if I remember to do so, I'll link it in the description, but he talks about the colour palette of space engineers, and like after reading it, I try and stick to this type of colour scheme, because I guess it just reminisces more, or makes it look more like the game. No, we don't want that blue. On those grey. Like that. The armour, we want blue. And I encourage you to do this. Like, most people don't paint their stuff in survival, but I really do encourage you to do it, because it just adds another layer of ownership over what you're doing. Some people aren't bothered, which is fine. I like to do it, so I'm just going to show you how I go about doing it. Colour these white. Cargo containers, I normally do like an orange. Oops. And then survival kits, I do red. Anything to do with medical. Like that. Close up that door. And then I'm going to do the same for this back here, so I want this to be orange. I like to have the pipes yellow as well. So we're going to make the conveyor pipes yellow. That one's pretty much impossible to get to unless you grind something out. I have to grind that out just for a second there, just to get in. It doesn't really matter what colour that is. And then a nice trick for the landing pads is if you select the brighter grey, you have darker grey on either side, and you just do a little line of lighter grey down the middle, including the connector. It's a simple touch, but it makes it look a bit more like a landing pad, as you can see. And then we've got a little cargo container hiding back here. I didn't forget you. There we go. Now the base has got a dash of colour. It actually looks like we have a little survival settlement here. So we've got production, and we've got our little hobbit hole where we can sleep, regenerate our health, our energy, oxygen and hydrogen as well. So guys, that's it for this episode. In the next one, we're going to look at creating a solar tracking rotor, and we're also going to look at building a drill rig so that we can start harvesting some ice a bit more efficiently and bringing it back to the base. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe to support the channel. Leave any questions you have in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you. And as always, take care, everybody.